Yeah, ladies first. Well, I would like to have your main lobster roll. Also, I would like to have your fish and chips and your shrimp polenta. For your appetizer, I'd like to also grab one of your appetizer, please. Your crab mac and cheese and sausage. Can I grab a bottle of wine? How about the... Oh, I never had this one. This is well. Oh, yeah, let's try that.
I'll be right back. Yeah. It's me with that bullshit.
Have you seen my date?
You ain't seen my phone?
No.
Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Making the Case. We're on episode 220. Yes, I said 220. I'm your host, Dr. Jacob Isom. We got two channels over here. One where it take points at our people, and then two, we don't do all that cussing and fussing and derogatory stuff. We like to keep it professional over here. All right. Now, let me say this. Well, before I move on, y'all already know. Can you guess, based off of the beginning clip, what this episode gonna be about? I can't hear you. First date impressions. All right. Now, I'm one that can say that it only takes me one date to realize or figure out whether or not I want to go on a second date with someone, let alone second date with someone, if I even want to be involved with them on any sort of level, right? It only takes me one encounter, right? Because if man or woman, because a lot of times women like to be like, well, you got to impress me, you got to court me, you got to do this, blah, blah, blah. Now, fellas, if a woman is not trying to do the same, now, I know it's not equivalent, at least a woman can do is show some courtesy. The simple fact, if a woman is going on a first date and she ordering up everything on the menu without taking you into consideration, that's all you need to know right there, right? Now, I would say, well, just based off my experience, most women wouldn't do that. Of course, I think this video was made just, as a meme for the fun of it. But we do know that some women do this, right? So, but in my experience in general, most women don't do this. They are very considerate. But fellas, you got to understand, like, you are the one typically that are picking the place to go, right? Now, is there a sentiment out here that, well, you got to take me to a certain place? Yes, that is. But at the end of the day, if you drive her or you send an Uber to go get her, that's on you. That's the decision you make. All right. Now, you can do like some men do and set a budget. That's on you. Or you could just wait to see, kind of like what this young man did. Wait to see what she do, and then if she do too much, deuces. Holla at you. One love, as I like to say, right? Now, but you don't even have to walk out. To me, I would have verbally expressed to the young lady that, since you really didn't take me into consideration whether or not I have the money or not, I'm going to make sure that we have separate checks, right? Now, if you're not good with that, then we can end this day right now. That's what I would have expressed, but hey, to each his own, right? So today in this video, we're talking about first date impressions and why it is so important to make sure that you actually come with some sort of, respect, manners, consideration, because of course that is going to lead you to the next date and the next date. And because let's be real, eventually everybody's trying to find somebody, right? But I think a lot of people get excited about going on dates after dates. Serial daters is what we call them, right? But at the end of the day, everybody eventually gonna want to settle down with somebody. So you need to make sure that you take first dates serious, because we always heard first impression matters. And you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Let's get into our first clip, shall we?
On the first date, light. No religion, no politics, no serious topics. Save those for later dates. Talk about your and their favorite music, movie, TV shows, and hobbies. This reveals a lot about both of you guys' interests and personalities, and it can establish some common likes and dislikes. Talk about where you are and what you're doing. This is a good way to frame and contextualize the conversation. Talk about the food, the decor, people you see. If you look around the room, there's always things to talk about. Talk about where you both grew up. This is an easy way to reveal a little about yourselves and your life. Talk about schools attended, cities you've lived, and favorite childhood memories. Talk about their friends and family and the things they like to do together. Ask them how they would describe the most important people in their life. It's good to know about each other's social circles. Talk about topics you discussed before the first date. This is something I always keep in my back pocket before I arrive. Make note of things you connected on and things you easily talked about that may have led to this first date. Keep the things you talk about on the first date light. No religion, no politics, no serious topics.
Now, I will say this, and I agree with a lot of those topics he brought up. And a lot of times those things will come naturally if you haven't already discussed them on the phone. You might want to go a little bit deeper on some of the topics he mentioned, particularly when it comes to like family and friends and things of that nature. I'm not against talking about religion, politics on a first date. And I tell you why. Because, well, first of all, you probably should have broached that conversation on the phone, because I always suggest you FaceTime and having phone conversation before you even go on a date, because you need to get out the way. If there are deal breakers, those need to be nobody needs to waste their time going on a date with somebody that they know they can't see themselves generally being with, right? So a lot of times you should even be having them conversations before you even get on the first date. Now, if you actually get on the first date, then that is where I agree. You shouldn't be talking about religion and politics. You should have broached that already, because if you're on a date, I'm assuming that you already got your deal breakers out of the way. It will be smart to, right? Who wants to go on a date and then all of a sudden the date is ruined because you can find out, well, y'all not aligned religiously, we're aligned politically, especially in this political climate. Of course, I don't have to bring up why I say that, but at the end of the day, to me, two people should be able to talk about anything and everything, right? Because for me, no topic is off limit. I get a lot of people are emotional, which is why they usually say kind of veer away from religion and politics. But at the end of the day, you want to find somebody who is articulate and able to have a conversation without getting emotional. And that is a great way to test if somebody can do that. All right, let's get into the next clip.
Subtle ways to make a good first impression with a woman. Number one, your ability to handle small setbacks like a wrong order or a delay says a lot about you. Staying calm, composed, or even finding humor in the situation is going to show emotional intelligence, patience, and adaptability. These traits aren't just attractive, they're reassuring, which we like. Number two is attention to detail. Remembering her favorite drink, giving a sincere compliment, or thoughtful gestures like holding the door show that you're attentive and you genuinely care. Number three is your body language. Confident posture, open gestures, and a steady eye contact signal that you're present, secure, and engaged. Women pick up on these things more than you might realize. When you focus on these small, impactful habits, you stand out in a way that's authentic, magnetic, and hard to forget. Here are 3 subtle ways.
And I agree with all 3 of those you said, but I would like to point out the fact that, well, men appreciate those little things that she brought up. Men appreciate those too, and that is the reason why a lot of time a man will put a ring on a woman's finger, because of little things, right? Like, she remember what I like. She remember my favorite food. She remember my favorite candy. She remember that I like to do this on a certain day, right? So it goes both ways for men and women. It just looks different, right? Like, if she remember that I like to fish, well, she brought me, a fishing pole, or she got me a gift card from Bass Pro Shop. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, right? It's always going to be the little things. So when you're going on the first date and you first getting involved with somebody, if somebody is willing to pick up and be considerate and pay attention to little things, right? The little small details that she mentioned, man, that means the world to not just women, but men as well. All right, let's get into the next clip.
I like anything where you are not sitting kind of facing each other. If you're going to go to a restaurant on a date, sit at the bar. It's a much better thing. That going to a table is awkward. Sitting across from each other and you're staring at each other the whole time, go sit at the bar, because then you can chat with the bartender, you can turn and say something, but you don't have to position your entire body towards someone. What it allows to happen is a more natural kind of attraction and seduction. We start facing away from each other, become aware of each other, like a sort of side eye, oh, I'm aware of you. And then eventually we turn into each other. You've already got the we know each other part, unless you're just approaching someone out there in the world. A date where you can start pointed at something, and the more rapport you build and the more comfort you build, you kind of end up turning inwards. That's a pretty good date. Walking is a good date.
What's a good first date?
I like anything.
And I actually totally agree, because for some people, like, it's very intimidating because you get the whole idea of eye contact, right? Nobody wants to make eye contact 100% of the time. So sometimes what do? You look to the left, you look to the right, you look at your menu. You don't want to be rude and pull out your phone, because I think it's very courteous to make sure that you either, leave your phone in your pocket, right? Don't put it face down, because it looks very suspicious, right? So just leave your phone in your pocket, in your purse, whatever. But I think it's very, to me, it's more intimate when you sit next to somebody, because then you get to feel, okay, do we have physical chemistry? Because I'm a person that I like to put my arm around my date, or I like to put my leg on my date, or, you know what I mean? Or I might try to grab her hand a little bit, right? So now you get to see if you get the physical chemistry, and it's not pressure that, you can just kind of have that flirtatious vibe. And like you said, you can talk to the bartender, you can even talk to the people next to you, and it's not that pressure like it would be if you were sitting across from each other. So I absolutely agree with that. Like, for the first date, make it more, a little bit more intimate, also a little bit less intimidating, because at the end of the day, you're trying to gather information. All right, let's get to the next clip.
Going on a first date, what are your tips?
So my biggest tip for a first date is that you should never go too formal, because there's already a lot of sort of anxiety and nervousness, right? A lot of expectation. If you go to a fancy restaurant, or if you even do dinner necessarily, it could add a lot more extra pressure on it. I like to keep first dates light, casual, maybe get a coffee, maybe take a walk in the park, and something where you can control the time. Because if it turns out it becomes very clear the other person is not someone you want to spend time with, you can bow out, right? You can't really bow out of a 3-course dinner.
If I am going on a first date, what are your tips?
You know what? And that's some more good advice, right? And it's funny. What was going through my mind when she was like, a part of coffee is, of course, the rhetoric online about women saying, I don't do coffee dates and stuff like that. Now, red flag. Once again, you should have these conversations up front, right? If you mention to her, hey, how about we go get coffee, or how about we meet at the park, something like that, and she'd be like, I don't do that, then you already know, hey, on to the next one, right? Because at the end of the day, the first time you're meeting up with somebody is to see if you do have a spark, to see if you do have a connection, to see if conversation can flow. Because if two people, there's always going to be silence, right? But if it's just so much silence, or it's like you're struggling just trying to find a rhythm to your conversation, then you don't want that to happen over an expensive, let's just say, 3-course dinner, right? And it's like, now somebody got feeling the pressure to either pay for it all or split checks, and that can get awkward. So, if you're going just some coffee, then, hey, like, what is it, about $8-10? Well, I don't know. I don't drink coffee, so it's probably more than that nowadays, right? So, and it should never be about the price or whether or not somebody can afford something or not. You got to just take that all the way and say, hey, how about we meet up at a mutual location where there's going to be, quite a few people there, and that's just, make an evening out of it. So that is what I will also suggest for a first date. I suggest keep first date casual, as she explained, because, at the end of the day, man, we're trying to see if we want to even continue moving forward, right? why spend $200, $300, $400 on somebody that I'm not even gonna see after this because they didn't say something out of pocket, right? And like she said, you can easily buy out and say, you know what? Look at the time. I mean, it happens, right? So, but there you have it, man. We're gonna end the episode on that, man. Let me know what you think. Do you have any other first date tips to make a first impression? Because remember, this is supposed to lead to something long term, or it's supposed to, have you gather information for when you go on that next first date. Now you kind of know how to approach it. So, hey, let me know in the comments what you think about the episode, man. Y'all already know I appreciate y'all rocking with me, man. But as always, I'm you. You and me, love always, love return. Remember, the worst thing you can do is lie to yourself. We out. Deuces. One love.